Imagine selling like 50 million books. Um, Before TV, the internet, even like widespread radio.
Wow.
That's exactly what Jean Stratton Porter did.
Yeah.
She was captivating readers with her really vivid portrayals of nature and these strong, independent characters. And today we're going on a deep dive into the life of this remarkable woman,
She really
a
was.
conservationist, a photographer, a filmmaker, and a best-selling author who challenged societal norms and left just this undeniable mark on American literature.
Yeah, it's fascinating how she kind of navigated a world that wasn't always receptive to a woman
Right?
with such bold ambitions.
Yeah.
We're going to be exploring her personal letters and examining articles she wrote, and even delving into a podcast episode
Oh, wow.
dedicated to her legacy to really understand how she achieved such success while staying true to her passions.
And trust me, her story is anything but like a simple sentimental tale.
Oh, no.
We're talking about a woman who literally built her writing cabin in the middle of the swamps she loved,
It's amazing.
who taught herself photography to avoid using images of dead birds in her books,
Wow.
and whose views on gender roles were as complex and contradictory as like the natural world that she captured so vividly.
Yeah. Let's start with her childhood.
Okay.
Born in 1863,
Okay.
is the 12th child
12th child. Wow.
in an Indiana farming family.
Wow.
Her connection to nature was practically woven into her DNA. I mean, her father, a minister and a farmer, instill in her a deep reverence for the natural world,
Uh-huh.
especially birds.
Oh, wow.
Imagine young Jean, pockets overflowing with seeds and berries, hand-feeding baby birds as they chirped and fluttered around her.
Oh, that's a great image.
Yeah.
I read that she was just 6 years old when she started carefully observing bird behavior, taking mental notes on their nesting habits and plumage.
Yeah.
And this early fascination would later form the bedrock of her writing.
Absolutely. But her childhood wasn't all idyllic.
Right.
She experienced the loss of several siblings, and that was just profound sadness that undoubtedly shaped her perspective on life and the fragility of nature.
Right.
And then the family moved from their rural farm to a bustling town,
Okay.
which proved to be a difficult transition for a young girl who thrived in the freedom of open spaces.
It was a clash between her free spirit and the strict social expectations placed on young women in the late 1800s.
Absolutely.
This rebellion against societal norms is a theme that echoes throughout her life.
Yeah.
And then enters Charles. What can you tell us about this courtship that started with letters from a stranger?
Well, picture this Charles Darwin Porter, a successful businessman, 13 years. Her senior spots Jean at a Chautauqua gathering and is instantly smitten.
Oh, wow.
He tracks down her address and initiates a correspondence.
Bold.
This wasn't your typical Victorian courtship.
Yeah.
Jean, in her letters, expressed strong opinions on marriage and the sacrifices it demanded of women.
Interesting.
She wasn't afraid to challenge Charles's assumptions about a woman's role in both society and a marriage.
What do those letters reveal about her personality? It sounds like she was already defying conventions and asserting her independence,
Oh, yeah.
even before their first face-to-face encounter.
Absolutely. She was fiercely intelligent
Uh-huh.
and articulate, unwilling to simply conform to societal expectations.
Right.
Their letters are a fascinating glimpse into their intellectual sparring and the unconventional foundation upon which they built their relationship.
Interesting.
They did eventually marry, which marked a new chapter filled with both challenges and opportunities for Jean.
Now, even as a wife and mother, she never quite fit the mold right.
No.
Her passions for nature photography and writing were considered quite eccentric for a woman of her time.
Precisely. But here's where her tenacity shines. Instead of succumbing to those societal pressures, she carved her own path.
Yeah.
She transformed her bathroom into a makeshift darkroom,
What?
developing her own photographs because she refused to use images of dead birds for her illustrations.
Really?
A common practice at the time.
It's incredible to imagine her in the dim light of that bathroom-turned darkroom,
I know.
meticulously developing images that would capture like the vibrant life of birds.
Yeah.
This commitment to ethical photography speaks volumes about her character.
And what's even more fascinating is how she challenged conventions while also upholding certain traditional values.
Okay.
She believed women possessed a unique sensitivity when it came to understanding and photographing birds, arguing it's not a man's work.
She wasn't afraid to voice her opinions, even if they went against popular thought.
No.
And speaking of contrasting perspectives, her husband Charles profited from the oil boom. while Jean was deeply connected to nature and likely witnessed firsthand the environmental destruction it caused.
Yeah.
How did they navigate such different viewpoints within their marriage?
It speaks to the complexities of their relationship and the changing landscape of America at the time.
Yeah.
While they clearly held different views on certain issues, they seem to have found a balance.
Yeah.
The oil money, in a way, afforded Jean a degree of freedom. It allowed her to build her dream home, Limberlost Cabin, nestled near her beloved Limberlost Swamp.
Wow.
And it was in this sanctuary surrounded by the natural world she cherished that she truly blossomed as a writer.
This deep connection to Limberlost Swamp would inspire her most famous novel, Freckles. It's a story that captured the hearts of readers across the nation and really launched her literary career.
Yeah.
But even as she achieved success, she never stopped fighting for her beliefs, especially when it came to protecting the natural world she held so dear.
Yeah, her activism against the draining of swamps, a common practice at the time, was remarkable.
Yeah.
You know, she understood the ecological importance of these wetlands long before it became mainstream thinking.
Right.
Remember, she had no formal scientific training,
Right.
but her observations were keen and her passion was unwavering.
She saw the beauty, the intricate web of life that existed in those seemingly desolate swamps,
Yeah.
and she knew they were worth saving.
Yeah.
And her writing played a crucial role in raising awareness. Through her vivid descriptions and compelling narratives, she brought the wonders of the swamp to life for readers who might never have experienced it firsthand.
And it wasn't just swamps.
Right.
She was a vocal advocate for the protection of forests and the responsible use of natural resources. In her articles and essays, she challenged the prevailing view of nature as something to be conquered and exploited.
Right.
Instead, she presented it as a source of wonder, inspiration, and a vital part of our collective well-being.
She seemed to understand intuitively what we're just now beginning to fully grasp: that our own survival is inextricably linked to the health of our planet.
Right.
But her life wasn't without its personal challenges.
Of course not.
She faced health issues and the upheaval of World War I, which undoubtedly had an impact on her writing and worldview. And then there was the move to California. What prompted this major life change, and how did it affect her relationship with Charles?
It appears that Jean craved more privacy and creative control.
Yeah.
Imagine having throngs of fans showing up at your doorstep unannounced, disrupting your writing and trampling the wildflowers she so carefully cultivated.
Right.
It's understandable that she sought a retreat from the public eye.
It must have been overwhelming to go from the quiet solitude of Limberlost Cabin to the constant attention that came with fame.
I would think so.
And what about her desire for more creative control? What did that look like for her?
Well, she was increasingly frustrated with how Hollywood was adapting her novels for the screen.
Really?
They were often deemed too much nature, not enough action, which, given her dedication to depicting the nuances of the natural world, must have been disheartening.
It seems like they missed the point entirely. Her stories were about the quiet beauty of nature, the complexities of human relationships, and the search for meaning and purpose.
You got it.
But Jean, being the trailblazer that she was, decided to take matters into her own hands. Tell us about her foray into filmmaking.
She founded one of the first female-owned film production companies in the United States.
Wow.
This was a bold move, a testament to her determination to bring her vision to life on her own terms.
What were some of the challenges she faced as a woman in the male-dominated film industry of the early 20th century? I can only imagine the hurdles she had to overcome.
Well, while she didn't direct any films herself,
Okay.
she was deeply involved in every aspect of production, from script writing to casting to set design.
Wow.
She even hired her son-in-law, James Leo Meehan, as a director.
Oh, wow.
It was a family affair fueled by her passion and vision.
It's inspiring to see how she refused to be sidelined.
Yeah.
She carved out her own space in an industry that wasn't particularly welcoming to women,
Yeah.
especially women with strong opinions and a desire for creative control.
Mm.
But tragically, her film career, her life was cut short.
It was.
Her death in a car accident at the age of 61 was a devastating loss.
Especially poignant considering she was at the height of her success.
Yeah.
Her novels had sold millions of copies, translated into numerous languages, and she was making waves in the film industry.
Right.
Despite the molasses fiction criticism from some literary critics, she had clearly touched the hearts of readers worldwide.
Can you explain what critics meant by molasses fiction?
Sure.
It seems like a rather dismissive term.
It was a way of criticizing her work for being overly sentimental, focusing on idealized portrayals of nature and simple characters.
Okay.
Some critics found her writing style too sweet, lacking the sophistication and grit they valued in literature.
But that sentimentality, that ability to connect with readers on an emotional level, was also her strength.
Oh, absolutely.
It's what made her stories so popular and enduring.
Exactly. While literary elites might have scoffed, she resonated with millions of readers who found solace and inspiration in her stories.
Yeah?
She brought the wonders of nature into their lives, fostered a love for the outdoors, and perhaps inadvertently advocated for conservation through her captivating portrayals of the natural world.
It's a reminder that impact can take many forms.
It is.
While she might not have been writing explicitly about environmental issues, she was subtly shaping public perception and fostering a sense of appreciation for the natural world.
And let's not forget her pioneering spirit.
Right.
She is a woman ahead of her time, challenging norms, pushing boundaries, and paving the way for other women in fields like writing, photography, and filmmaking.
She was a complex, contradictory figure,
Why?
but her impact is undeniable. Her books continue to be read, her films enjoyed, and her beloved Limberlost cabin stands as a testament to her enduring connection with nature. It makes you wonder what she would think of the world today with the environmental challenges we face.
Given her passion and fearlessness, I have no doubt she would be a powerful voice for change.
Yeah.
She wouldn't shy away from challenging the status quo, speaking truth to power, and advocating for a more sustainable future.
She might even be making films about climate change or writing articles exposing environmental injustices.
Yeah.
But I also imagine she'd still be writing those stories that touch people's hearts, reminding us of the simple joys of life, the importance of connection, and the enduring power of hope.
That's a beautiful thought. Because even amidst the challenges, we need those stories, those reminders of what's worth fighting for.
And perhaps that's the essence of Jean Stratton Porter's legacy, a blend of activism and artistry, a deep love for nature, and a belief in the power of storytelling to change hearts and minds. She left us with a blueprint for living a meaningful life, one that's both grounded in reality and infused with wonder. Before this deep dive, I knew about Freckles and some of her other popular books, but I never realized how deeply her personal life intertwined with her conservation efforts.
Yeah, it's true. She wasn't just writing about nature from an ivory tower. She was actively working to protect it. One striking example is how she rescued plants from areas slated for destruction, transplanting them to her own property.
It's like she created a personal ark, a refuge for species that might have otherwise vanished. It's a testament to her hands-on approach to conservation.
And it highlights a key point about her work. It wasn't just theoretical, she was deeply practical, applying her knowledge and passion to make a real difference on the ground.
I'm curious about something you touched on earlier, the criticism of her writing as molasses fiction. If we dig a bit deeper,
Yeah.
what do you think that criticism reveals about the literary landscape of her time?
It's interesting, isn't it? On the one hand, it reflects a certain elitism within the literary circles of the early 20th century. There is a tendency to dismiss anything that was popular or sentimental as somehow lacking in artistic merit.
So by embracing the sentimental, by focusing on the beauty of nature and the simple joys of life, was she in a way challenging the prevailing literary norms?
Absolutely. She was writing for a different audience, an audience that craved stories that uplifted and inspired, that connected them to something larger than themselves. And in doing so, she created a space for a kind of writing that had been marginalized by the literary elite.
It's fascinating how she navigated that tension between popular appeal and critical acclaim. It makes you wonder if those same criticisms would be leveled at her work today.
It's hard to say for sure, but I think there's a growing appreciation for the power of stories that connect with us on an emotional level, that remind us of our shared humanity and our connection to the natural world.
And perhaps that's a key part of her legacy, that enduring appeal, that ability to transcend time and trends by tapping into something universal within us.
Exactly. Her stories continue to resonate with readers today because they speak to our longing for connection, for beauty, for meaning in a world that can often feel chaotic and disconnected.
As we wrap up this deep dive, what's the one thing you want our listeners to mull over? What's that lingering thought you hope they carry with them?
I want them to consider the power of observation. Jean Stratton Porter's keen eye for detail, her ability to see the extraordinary in the ordinary, was at the heart of her success as a writer, a naturalist, and a conservationist.
It's a reminder that we don't need fancy degrees or sophisticated equipment to make a difference. We can all cultivate that sense of wonder, that attentiveness to the world around us.
And who knows, maybe by paying closer attention to the natural world, by truly seeing the beauty and complexity that surrounds us, we too can find inspiration for our own creative endeavors and discover ways to make a positive impact.
Well said. And on that note, we'll leave you to ponder those possibilities. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the life of Gene Stratton Porter, be sure to subscribe to the deep dive for more captivating explorations. Until then, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep feeding your curiosity.